Hey YouTube, I want to talk about the different types of the different levels of rich. There's different levels of rich, and why it's your duty to get rich. You got to get rich, bro. I know it hurts. It sucks. It's like, bro, what if I don't care about the money, all of that stuff? Right, but do you care about your family? Do you care about the people around you? Do you care about like anything? Like it's your job to get rich. It's your job. Your life here on earth, it's your job to get rich. Or bare minimum, sometimes you get the secondhand purpose, which is just you procreated, and your child's job is now to fulfill your job, which was to get rich, which sucks, but sometimes that's the case. It's not. You don't judge people for that, but you're still alive. You still got time, so whatever. But it's your job to get rich. Let me tell you why it's your job to get rich first. First of all, it's your job to get rich because if you can't rich, dude, I'm gonna love this video when I go back and watch it. It's your job to get rich because when you're rich, you can afford things. You can afford lifestyles. You can afford to invest in yourself. You invest in, there's levels of different types of investments, but the type of investment I'm specifically speaking about is being able to put something down, put your time away, or to be able to fully go in on something, right? Without having to worry about the time, like extra time. I don't got enough time in my day. I don't have enough money, you know what I'm saying? Like, or the resources aren't available. You don't have to worry about that stuff. So, number one, it's your job to get rich so that you can invest. Okay, so that's gonna be number one. The second reason it's your job, number two reason why it's your job to get rich is for your children, so that your children don't have to go through a crazy struggle that you may have had to go through, and just makes their life easier. Three, if you got kids, and that's the route you're planning to do, you want to be able to leave something for your offspring. And then the fourth reason I'm gonna say that you want to get rich, assuming you don't even have kids or anything like that, you might be like, bro, I don't got kids, I don't care. Right. The fourth reason you want to get rich is so that you can contribute to the rest of the community in the most positive way and have the maximum impact and not the minimum impact that more than likely me and you are living right now. Okay, so it's your job to get rich, right? Now let's talk about the levels of rich. This one's gonna be good. Ooh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be so good, y'all. So the levels of rich. First, let's talk about hood rich. One of the first levels of rich is hood rich. Now, let me tell you why. Now, this definition varies depending on who you're talking to, what you're talking about, right? But for the purpose of this context, we're going to talk about hood rich in the sense of perception, or we're going to talk about the levels of being rich in the sense of how they're perceived, right? So hood rich could be, it's two different ways you can be hood rich. Hood rich could be you made it off of drugs and you slap, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. You found some illegal method to get the money, and now you got a bunch of money. You could be a millionaire, a thousandaire, whatever. You could be hood rich, right? But for this, I'm going to call this like the lowest level of rich, because while you can make an empire off of it, since it is illegal, it's going to make it harder for you to do whatever you got to do. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to say that's the lowest form of wealth. If you got to run with your money in your hand, it's not really good. The money ain't worth it. That, to me, you do what you do. Everybody do what y'all do. Do what you do. To me, that ain't worth it. If I gotta be like, oh, the cops can stop me, or I go to the bank and the bank won't accept my money because it's too much and they don't know how I got it, taxes on my ass, IRS, all that shit ain't worth it. But let's talk about it though. So hood rich, right? It's the first level of rich. It's not really the first level of rich, and these aren't in any specific order. But maybe I should put them in a specific order, but they're not in any specific order. And it's the lowest form of being rich because, again, the risk factor that you have to take in consideration, the fact that you got that risk is non-taxable, so you can be richer than any of these other levels of rich. But because of the risk, I'm just gonna call it the lowest form of wealth. Now, when you hood rich, being hood rich not bad. Don't get me wrong. When you hood rich, in my opinion, you're supposed to always use your hood rich money, whatever you did, your resources when you was hood rich, to platform and springboard yourself to the next level of being rich or wealth. No. To springboard yourself to the next level of being rich, which is the first level of wealth, right? So the first level of wealth, a lot of people might be like, how do you know this? I do a lot of studying, y'all. I'm a scholar. I like to study. I like to get my hands, my brain intact, always moving and keep it on a swivel. But the first level is the actual level of wealth. We're gonna call this like the lowest level of wealth. And we're not talking about poorness or $0. And if you're $0, you're poor, you're in poverty. We're not talking about that. We're talking about wealth, being rich, and why you need it, right? So you use the hood rich. If you can get hood rich, you use your hood rich to springboard you to the first level of wealth. Wealth is being able to use what you got, your resources, your money, your time, to benefit other people. And it's the amount you're able to help and contribute to the rest of society that's going to determine whether or not you are actually wealthy, as they would say, right? So this first level of wealth, I'm going to call that one, let's call this middle class, right? Right one, bro, you tripping hard as a mug, bro. How you going to say that being middle class, especially in these days with taxes and inflation, how you going to say that that's a level of wealth, right? Okay. But the average middle class person, at least in Wisconsin, where I live at, they buy shit. Okay, let's break this. I want to break it down to like the minuscule level of observation, right? So, where I'm from, Wisconsin, wealthy people, right? This is how you know you wealthy in Wisconsin. You could do shit like, I could buy Instacart every day, or like, it's a weekly thing for you to buy Instacart depending on how much you spend, shit like that. Or like, you're able to keep up with all of your finances, you're ahead of your finances, or you're on par with your finances, but you're not necessarily excelling them, and you might not have a bunch of investments. You might have some investments. You might have enough investments to qualify you as a thousandaire or a 10,000aire and still be considered middle class, simply because that's just what it is, right? So you gotta, you might even have some livestock and whatever the heck, you know what I'm saying? So like, and at that level, you are officially able to put in for your people. So you can spend money on your people, your kids, invest, you know what I'm saying? Help your friends here and there, contribute to society in some way. Maybe you have like a business, a startup or something like that, or you have like a small business that does okay, right? So that's like the ideal American start point, right? Everybody wants to have that little bit of land, the livestock, or some type of resource that they can use, right? So that's the second level of being rich, right? I'm gonna use my money to help my immediate family and my immediate friends, right? The third level of wealth, or of being rich, not of wealth, of being rich, is still all going. This is the second level of wealth, basically. But the third level of being rich, would be now you are like 100,000aire, right? Because you put your investments, you can invest. You got a business that might be medium to small, and also like you do really well. Like you were diligent enough. Maybe you got your taxes good, your investments right. You able to put money in the pockets of people around you and their families, and in their families maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like you're able to get a wider net. Now this is people who have like businesses, right? They got like businesses, something like maybe you own like a Zaxby's or like a McDonald's franchise, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you own a bunch of them, and like you're starting to make, like I said, hundred thousands and stuff like that. Like I said, you're able to. It'll be about how it's perceived. So you're able to really impact not just your immediate family, but like maybe their friends. You're able to do celebrations. You're able to keep up and do all the. So with every level you increase, you're also able to do everything that you just did in the previous level. You know what I'm saying? And then some. So like, you would totally be able to in this third level of being rich. You would totally be able to pay for shit. Like, you might be giving out money at this point. You're like, shit, I'm making some money. I'm giving it out. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I make too much money. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know that there's another level of being rich. You know. So there's always that to consider. Always that to consider. And that's a really fun level of wealth, by the way. I haven't achieved it yet, but I imagine it's a pretty fun level of wealth. I'm sure there's going to be downsides with everything, guys, but right now, for intents and purposes and for the sake of this video, we're talking about the positivities of the things, and then I'll actually make part B of this, talking about the negatives of all of those, and that'll be a separate video. But then you got the fourth level of being rich. Now, this is multi-million-dollar rich, right? This is multi-million-dollar company. This is McDonald's. This is Walmart. This is the big hitters, right? The heavy hitters, the names you know well, Kroger, you know, like the big joints. And now let me be perfectly clear here. This is a level of rich that we don't need. I'm not saying that it doesn't need to exist, but I'm saying you don't need that level of rich to be successful. You don't need that level of rich to feel like you're rich or to be like, oh, I'm rich. No, you don't need that. Because the truth of the matter is that you will probably have more targets on your back than anything. You're going to have more lawsuits. You're going to have more people wanting to take your money, more fights on your hand than ever. So that's just a clear warning. That's a warning. And hey, if there's anybody who's rich enough to know that I'm telling the truth, please comment in the comment section and just tell everybody else how hard you might have had it. Or that's not always true. You can get that rich and not have targets on your back. But typically when you're that rich, you got more people, more adversaries. That's how that goes. So like, but at that level of wealth, you're able to target, you're able to help, you're able to work with communities, other big businesses. So your wingspan or your net is so huge. So when you get to that point, if you get to that point, if that's something you choose to do, in my opinion, it's your job to do the right thing in all your aspects, in all your walks, in all your businesses. Make sure you're doing the right thing. Make sure you're not cutting corners. Make sure, like, you gotta take the harder path, in my opinion, because that's where it gets tricky. That's where it gets shady, and that's where most corruption in society comes from. Because we like to blame the dollar. No, it's the small choices that affect the people below the person or the people that are at the top that determine the rest of how this shit works. So these are my 4 levels of rich, the positives to them, and the 3 levels of wealth. I'm sure there's probably 4 levels of wealth, but for the fourth being, or I guess the first being poverty. So, you know, however you want to look at that. Again, we're not going to, in this video, we're not talking about any of the negatives. It was really just most of the positives. You get to mega million rich, you know, you're getting millions of 100 millions and stuff like that, billions of dollars. Just do the right thing, guys. But it is your job to choose one of these levels of being rich and achieve it, for your people, for your family, and for everybody else around you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.
Yeah, hey. If I'm down, then I'm going out of legend. If I'm down, then I'm going out of legend. If I'm down, then I'm going out of legend. If I'm down, then I'm